Good morning, guys. Today I'm going to try my hand at making pork sinigang. It's a Filipino dish. My fiance taught me how over the video chat on Facebook Messenger the other night. And now I'm going to try it on my own, no assistance from her. And I hope it turns out. So stay tuned. I'll go through a couple of steps of what I do and important steps to get your sinigang just right. Thank you. Okay, for this sinigang, I've already started chopping things. I've got my Chinese cabbage or Napa cabbage, as it's in Walmart's Napa cabbage. But it's Chinese cabbage, my okra caps, I cut them off. I'm going to cut up the beans, and for the eggplant, since the Filipinos eggplant were probably that big round, you could cut them in half and chop them up. I'm going to have to cut this eggplant into wedges, having the skin attached to each piece, because if you just put a piece of the center in it, it's going to turn to mush and not going to hold together at all. So we got the eggplant. We're going to do the onion with the pork in the pan. Also have our tamarind. We're going to do 5 pieces of tamarind in with the pork to get the juices. The tamarind gives the sinigang the sourness that it needs, the right taste. So we're going to put the tamarind in our pot with the pork, let that boil and get all that sourness out, all the flavor out. To prepare the tamarind, I'm just going to grab 4 or 5 pods, depending on the taste that you want it. And my fiance was telling me how to do it. I did 5 and it turned out really good, so I think I'll stick with 5. The tamarind are real simple. The skins just crack off. There's some maybe sticky, stuck on it. Don't worry if this happens, because you're gonna get these veins out. Bend it over like that. All these veins have to come out. You can eat this the way it is, just like this. You could eat it. It's really sour. I wouldn't recommend it unless you just absolutely adore sour stuff. So, do another one here for you. This is just a plastic bag in a drawer. It's convenient. You knock it out of the way, just close the drawer, it's out of your way. This does want to be a little stubborn. So I have my pot on here. I've got it on high heat. It's a little wet in there, but I'm adding 64 ounces or 2 quarts of water. So I've got my little stove here. I got 2 quarts of water, and the tamarind's already in there. Once it gets to a boil, I'm going to add my pork. I've also salted the water. There's a lot of vegetables in here, so adjust your salt accordingly. Vegetables are going to soak up a lot of eggs. It's just going to be a taste test, really, what you prefer. Once my water boils, I'll throw the pork in there. Let the tamarind and the pork boil together until the pork is done, and then I'll test the water for taste, because the tamarind is real sour. If it's too sour, I add more water, bring it back to a boil, start adding my vegetables. Something I need that I don't have, I forgot to get it when I was at the store, are tomatoes. Tomatoes go in first after the pork is done. Tomatoes, onions, eggplant, green beans, and then your okra and Chinese cabbage go in last, because they take the least amount of time to cook. As soon as this is up to a boil, we'll get back to it, and I'll add the pork. My water is just now starting to boil. There's little bubbles at the bottom. I'm going to add the pork. I'm going to cover that and let that boil. So while we're waiting for our pork to cook and our tamarind to release all of its flavors, we're going to soak the rice. I measure out the rice. I don't measure the water for the soak, but I will measure the water for the cooking process. Insert elevator music here. There is fake rice out there. Believe it or not, there is fake rice. And fake rice floats. So see, all this sinks. So my makes good jasmine rice. Real jasmine rice. Just want to get everything in a little mix in there. It's okay, we're going to be pouring this water off anyhow. I'm not going to save it. Some people do save it and make, believe it or not, Sinigang. But we're not. I'm just going to let it soak. Pour it off, rinse it off twice, and then our rice will be ready to go. And while you're waiting for this to boil and all the flavors come out, you grab yourself your favorite magazine and get to reading, because it'll take from 30 to 35 minutes to soften up the meat, flavors to penetrate the meat with that tamarind flavor. So you have plenty of time to read your favorite magazine. Okay, it's been 35-ish minutes. It's time to take the tamarind out. I've just lowered my heat to a real low setting. And we're going to scoop out the tamarind, squeeze the juices out of it, and then put whatever juices we squeezed out back in the pot. Just tender. And this stuff is good to eat if you want to eat it. If you like sour stuff. I actually took some the other night. I mixed up one tamarind bean with 2 teaspoons of sugar. Of course, I took the little strings and the seeds out. And I gotta tell you, it wasn't bad at all. It actually had a good flavor to it. But we're not going to do that. We're just going to squeeze whatever juice we can get out of there and then add it back into our broth. So some of the pulp come off with the squeezing, and when you squeeze it, you put your beans in a slotted spoon. You just press them like that. The pulp's going to be on it. Don't wash this off. You can put that in your bowl or in your pot, and that just adds that little bit more flavor. And for your bowl, we did get a little bit of juice out of that. Just scoop up some of this juice and give it a little wash around and pour it in. So if you get some of the pulp in there, it's fine. Just try not to get any beans, any seeds from the beans. And you see how our broth has turned a brown, like a real light tea color? That's what you want. That's the tamarind infusing all the water, and that is going into the pork. I've turned my heat back up. I'm going to let it simmer for maybe 10 more minutes just to bring it back up to temperature before I add my vegetables. One thing you really want to do is taste the broth before you add the vegetables. This is super sour. I think I let the tamarind cook too long. So what I'm going to do is add about 8 to 12 ounces of water. Not a bunch of small solo cookies. I'm going to add 2 of those. I'm going to let that come up to temperature, and then we'll start adding all of our vegetables. So we've soaked our rice, and I've rinsed the rice twice. Now I'm gonna put the rice on. Since this is almost ready, and the cabbage and okra is not gonna take long at all to cook, I'm gonna go ahead and start the rice. I light my stove with a match. A lot of times it doesn't burn, so when I have to when I've got one lit, I'll just reuse the match. This probably doesn't save a lot of money, but still, a penny's a penny. Reuse that again before to go out. So we got this. We're gonna start our rice on a high heat, uncovered. When it starts to boil, then we'll cover it, maybe leave a little crack in the lid, reduce the heat down to a simmer, and just let that cook off the water. And with a thick pot like this, when you cook rice, you want a thick pot because the thick pot disperses the heat better, and it won't burn as easy. If you let the water cook all the way out and just keep cooking, of course it's gonna burn. I used to burn rice all the time. All right, it has been about 15 minutes. I'm not gonna lie, I've not been keeping up with time. I've just been looking at it, seeing how the vegetables look, see how soft they were from touching them with a spoon. And the rice is done. So the rice takes about 10 to 12 minutes to cook. But this is the sinigang. It is a green vegetable dish other than the eggplant and the tomato. So most anything you put in here, you want it to be green. I'm not sure. I wouldn't mess with the recipe too much because it is good the way it is. I have plenty to eat for the next couple days. Might even have to call somebody in to help me finish it out. That's the sinigang, and we had our rice here. That is perfectly cooked rice. Go down in the middle, a little bit of sticky on the bottom, tiny bit of moisture on the bottom layer. That way you know it's not burnt on the bottom. And here it is, all served up. I've got my fancy wine glass with some good muscadine wine from Park Vineyards. Got my sinigang here and jasmine rice. It's a perfect meal. Like I said, I've got a lot left, so I'm gonna have to call in some reinforcements. But I'm gonna give the meat and the broth a little taste here. That meat falls apart. It's cooked so tender. That cabbage takes no time to cook. It was in there maybe 2 minutes. It's tender. It's cooked. The Chinese cabbage is different from the regular cabbage. Regular cabbage would take a little longer. And I know the jasmine rice is good, so. finish that off. That is a great meal. Thank y'all for watching. If you like the content, this cooking show, I guess you can call it, let me know in the comments. If you hadn't subscribed already, go ahead and do that. That way you get notified every time I upload a video, but only if you hit the little bell icon beside and subscribe. And let me know what you think. What other things can I cook for you? Links to the wine there will be in the description. I'm not an affiliate of theirs. I just like the wine. I used to work for them. I just like the wine, and they're good people to get your products from. And it's a very good wine. The wine speaks for itself. They have different flavors: the red wines, blush wines, and white wines like this one. And they're all muscadines. So thank you for joining me again, and we'll see you next time.